AI is about to hit the real world's oldest filter: regulation. Over the next few months, the US, the UK, the EU, Canada, Australia, and even individual US states roll out rules that change how chatbots talk to your kids, how models train on your data, how creators monetize, and how startups raise cash. If the last decade was move fast and break things, the next one is ship carefully or pay fines. Tonight, I'll break down the rule changes that actually matter, why they're converging right now, and how they'll hit prices, ads, jobs, and valuations. This is Frostline Economics. Let's separate the signal from the siren. Why this is happening now. Regulators don't wake up one morning and decide to rewrite the internet. They react to three forces: scale, spillover, and stories. Scale. Generative models went from demo to daily habit. Spillover. AI now touches elections, mental health, classrooms, hospitals, and supply chains, places where mistakes cost more than bad vibes. Stories. High-profile incidents, deepfakes, self-harm prompts, bogus medical answers create political demand for do something. Add a year of budget fights and institutional turf wars, and you get a wave of laws with one theme: force system builders to own system risks. The 5-rule map, read this like a flight plan, will work left to right across the Anglosphere in Europe. United States, state first, sector-led. New York and California just drew the sharpest lines around AI companions and minor safety. Transparency and self-harm protocols aren't optional anymore. United Kingdom, Principles Plot Institutes. A light-touch, pro-innovation frame that is about to get teeth, powered by the AI Safety Institute. European Union, hard law, staggered clocks. The EU AI Act is in force. The strictest bits roll in through 2025 to 2027 amid talk of phasing, codes of practice, and possible delays. Canada, C27 ADA saga. The national laws stalled, then lurched forward again in committee. Provinces and privacy laws are filling gaps while Ottawa reworks scope. Australia, voluntary today, mandatory tomorrow. Government signals. Voluntary standards now, guardrails for high-risk AI next, with 2026 as a realistic horizon. What New York and California just told the whole industry state rules tend to get copied if they target pain you can't PR away. New York's AI companion rule flips 2 defaults. You must disclose you're not human, and you must have a reasonable protocol to detect and escalate potential self-harm. California layers that with minor safety duties and regulator reporting. If your product can sustain a relationship and meet social needs, welcome to the club, even if you call yourself a general chatbot. Translation: if your funnel, retention, or ARPU depends on intimate, human-like engagement, your compliance design is now a growth feature, not back-office overhead. Why this slices straight into product and growth safety features touch latency, prompt freedom, memory, and persona. That's experience. Escalation touches logging and human review. That's cost. Age gating touches friction and conversion. That's revenue. The naive play, slap a banner and call it a day, fails fast when a case hits headlines. The real play is safety by design. A content policy you can explain, a red team you can show, and a trace you can audit. UK, the Smart Brakes model. The UK spent 2 years building a tests and institutions approach. Let models ship, then measure dangerous capabilities and validate mitigations at an independent institute. It's pro-innovation on paper, but here's the catch. Ministers now signal making parts of that voluntary regime binding. If you're a model company, the win is predictability. If you're a deployer, the ask is simple. Show you used reasonable safeguards consistent with national guidance. Expect more assurance reports attached to big public deployments. Think SOC2 vibes, but for model risks. EU, hard edges, moving dates. The EU AI Act is the strictest framework on the planet. It bans certain uses, forces risk classification, and sets heavy disclosure for general-purpose AI, GPAI. Some timelines already hit. More hit in 2026-2027. Under pressure from industry and allies, Brussels is talking codes of practice and grace periods so companies don't get fined before guidance exists. Net out the noise. If you sell AI into the EU, you'll need model cards with teeth, copyright training disclosures, and a way to downgrade or disable risky capabilities fast. If momentum stalls, the interim reality is messy. National authorities will interpret gray zones differently, and forum shopping becomes a thing. Canada. The law that died. The rules that didn't. Canada's flagship ADA bill famously stalled, then parts re-emerged. Whether Ottawa's final package lands this session or the next, the practical advice to a Canadian startup hasn't changed. Build to EU-level evidence for anything high risk, and treat provincial privacy commissioners as early regulators. If you want US and EU customers, you are going to do that anyway. Australia. From voluntary to visible, Canberra's line is clear. Voluntary safety standard today. Mandatory guardrails for high-risk stuff tomorrow. If you're shipping health, finance, education, or government-adjacent AI, assume mandatory risk assessments, incident reporting, and safety claims audits are coming. Good news, the government keeps saying it wants internationally interoperable rules. Less bespoke paperwork, more show me your evidence once, reuse many times. Okay, but what does this change for you? Creator, startup, enterprise. Creators and media shops, watermarking and provenance will graduate from nice to have to distribution requirement on premium platforms. Expect platform-level labels on synthetic audio and faces. If your format relies on fully synthetic anchors, build a disclosure UX your audience doesn't hate. Startups. Investors now ask for model governance the way they asked for GDPR readiness in 2018. Show evals, abuse prevention, age gating, and copyright posture. If your TAM assumes EU users, budget a compliance year. Enterprises. Procurement will require assurance artifacts, eval results, red team reports, incident playbooks. If your vendor can't show theirs, your CISO says no. Advertisers. Deepfake rules meet brand safety. Expect higher CPMs for verified provenance inventory and lower tolerance for mystery model creative. Your wallet. Prices, subscriptions, and hidden taxes. The first-order cost is engineering time. The second-order cost is latency and recompute. If a companion app must run moderation passes and self-harm classifiers on longer contexts, either your response slows or your unit cost rises. Companies will test 3 levers. Move guardrails server-side, cheaper but more logging obligations. Push some on-device, faster but hardware-gated, or tier features, safety-heavy relationship modes behind paid plans. Net free tiers get thinner, pro tiers get clearer. School, clinic, courtroom, where stakes are not negotiable. The hottest fights won't be about memes. They'll be about education, health, and legal advice. Expect schools to require age assurance for AI tools, hospitals to demand audit trails for model answers, and courts to sanction undisclosed AI-generated filings. If you work in those sectors, we turned it on and it worked. Won't cut it, capability scoping and guardrail proofs become part of. Onboarding. The deepfake line hardens elections and miners pulled. Synthetic media from fun to forensic. Platforms will mark political deepfakes aggressively and penalize undisclosed synthetic endorsements. For minors, expect blanket bans on romantic or sexualized companionship features and duty to escalate if harm signals appear. If your growth loop depends on spicy parasocial loops, the runway just shortened. Jobs. Who gains? Who gets squeezed? Compliance natives win. Policy leads, eval engineers, safety researchers. Prompt ops shifts. Less wildcatting, more repeatable playbooks, and eval dashboards. Contract moderation grows in the short run. In the long run, safety-tuned models and tooling automate the most dramatic edge cases. Classical dev and PMs don't disappear. They learn to ship features with evidence. Investors, how this reprices the map. Valuations care about defensible margins. Rules widen moats for foundation model providers that can amortize compliance and for vertical apps that turn rules into trust features. Open weights and small model ecosystems thrive where on-device avoids logging obligations and latency. The danger zone. Commodity wrappers with no policy story. One takedown away from zero. Scenarios for the next 12 months. Read like weather. Base case. EU codifies grace via codes of practice. UK makes parts of its voluntary regime de facto mandatory. NYCA enforcement bites a few headline cases. Australia drafts mandatory guardrails. Canada advances a narrower AIDA. Result: compliance costs up modestly, growth slows a touch, trust up, scams down. Upside case: interop emerges. EU guidance clarifies GPAI obligations, UK and EU mutualize assurance artifacts. US federal guidance aligns with state rules. Result: lower paperwork, faster releases for responsible actors. Downside case: fragmentation spikes. EU slips timelines but fines anyway. US states diverge. Plaintiffs' bar goes hunting. Result: risk premiums rise. Smaller players retreat from regulated use cases. Big platforms consolidate. How to not get wrecked. Playbooks. For founders, pick a risk category and write a one-page safety spec. What your system will not do. How you test it monthly. How you kill switch it. Save logs responsibly. Know your data provenance. For creators, assume provenance labels and synth disclosure become distribution keys. Script your disclosure line now so it feels native, not legalese. For families, flip AI companion settings to human handoff enabled. Teach kids the "you're chatting with software" rule the same way you taught "don't click random links." For CFOs, budget compliance CAPEX ones, reduce OPEX later by standardizing on a model Chujuk provider that ships auditable evals. What to watch next? Practical list. NYCA enforcement memos. What counts as reasonable protocol for self-harm? EU GPAI guidance. Exact transparency fields required in model cards. UK Institute test suites, which dangerous capabilities get standardized evals. Add platform rules, which creative tools require provenance before boosting. Insurance. First mainstream AI liability riders and cyber policies. Frostline take good rules don't kill innovation. They price it. The AI rule shock will feel like a speed bump for the reckless and a tailwind for the serious. The market will pay more for reliability than for yet another clever demo. If you want upside, build where proof beats promises. And if this helped you plan your roadmap, subscribe and drop a like so the algorithm shows it to the people making decisions on deadlines. Tell us in the comments where you sit in this new stack: creator, founder, policy lead, parent, and what you need clarity on. We'll keep tracking the few policy signals that actually move adoption curves, cost curves, and trust.